So this is the second video on the front turtle pond, and if you haven't seen the first one, go check that out after or before this video, because that is also a very cool video. But today I'm going to be working a lot on the spillway and on the filter for this tank, as well as what I talked about in the last video at the end, which was the problem that arose when it rained here. So that is what I am starting off fixing. So what I just did there is the soil that I had put in after I got the pond where I wanted it the first time, it had seeped underneath because I never made sure that the bottom was fully there, and then I just left it. So then when it rained and this area experienced its first rain, all that soil, all that loose soil that I'd put in right on the sides went to the bottom, which is what I was expecting. But it pushed the pond up at the same time because lots of water flows into this area, and it puddled down there, which we do have a drainage hose. It goes it's like right there underneath that tub, and it goes out to it drains towards our garage. It doesn't go into our garage. It actually works really well, but it's not all the way at the bottom. It's kind of part the way up. So the water's gonna fill up a little bit. And since there was no water inside of this container, or there was very little at the time, pushed this container up, which moved for erosion to come down. So now what I've done is I put sand that I wasn't going to use for anything for anything else, because it's like white sand. I put it under there, and I made sure it's actually touching the bottom, so you can kind of hear it moving around. And now what this gives me is makes me not afraid to go into this pond, which I'm not gonna need to. It's tiny, but I might need to at some point. So it gives me that, but also it allows an area for the water to pool up to eventually go out the drain, and it allows for the dirt not to flow down into that area, because that area is already occupied. It's full, and I know it's full, and this pond is where I want it now. So what I think I'm going to do is there's this gap right here, and I don't really think that's a problem. I think that the soil will kind of just move up, the mulch will flow in, and then we put more mulch on top of it rather than putting stuff. I'll let the rain do that work rather than me, so then I don't have the same problem again. So we have all this dirt out of here now. So I'll just leave that, and then eventually I will make sure to re-mulch around here or put something there. But now what I want to do is I want to fill it all the way up, so then I don't have the same problem there. I want to make sure I have it mostly filled with water, so then even when it does fill with water underneath, which it will, but it will also drain out, and I'm not worried about that. So once it drains out, I won't really have a problem, and the water in here will keep this from floating, and it'll keep it from adding more dirt on top of that sand. So that's the plan there. The problem is I need a certain amount of area right here to silicone something on, so I don't really want that area like super filled with water, of course. So we'll see how high I fill it up. Not exactly sure, but here we have collected rainwater. Now I put some duckweed in here, and it seems to be really crazy thriving. I put like less than a handful. That's been going crazy down here in the bottom of this pond, because this pond has been slowly filling with rainwater, and then I've had this in there, so it's been getting really filled with tannins, and it's also been stagnant. So I can see some mosquito larvae. I'm thinking what I might do is, since there's nothing wrong with this water, it might have a little bit of dirt, different rubble that's going inside and different things, but obviously the mosquito larvae are surviving. I think I might take some of the mosquito larvae and feed them to my fish, because I believe that can be used as a live food. So I think I'm going to do that inside. But as far as stocking goes, I'm going to have turtles in here, of course. That's why we have the wall. But as far as fish stocking goes, I really don't want to put any goldfish in here. I'm thinking just minnows. I have a lot of rosy red minnows, and I have some breeding ones, and I think it would be really cool as if they could breed in this, but it just kind of depends on how much natural vegetation I get in here. I mean, not natural, but how much vegetation I can get to grow in here with the turtles in here, because turtles tend to destroy plants. So Now I am filling the pond with water, so then when it rains, the pond won't float anymore when the water pools underneath it. And once I have it filled up and I have the piece of driftwood back in it, I begin working on the filter and the spillway. So I needed to get the different tubing onto the bucket filter, and then I went ahead and added in the pump, and then luckily its cord's really long, so I plugged it in inside. It was just long enough to reach, and I started working on the spillway. So this tub here is what I've been referring to as the spillway, because the water will go into that and then spill over into the pond. But as you can see here, it's just a tub, so I need to modify it by cutting it so then I can get the water to spill over, and then I can also modify it further to make sure there's no leaks. Siliconed on the spillway, I siliconed the inside of the bucket filter to prevent leaking there, and then a day later I siliconed the area to further prevent leaks, which is just pond liner in between the spillway and the preformed pond to connect them and make sure that they do not leak. Also, I built a cage out of egg crate for the filter to prevent fish and turtles and stuff to be hurt by the spinning mechanism within the filter. Even though it already is blocked, it's just a further way to make sure things don't get stuck into the filter, like leaves and different things. So that is why I made that. Okay, so I tested out this, and as you can see, it wasn't exactly a success here. Basically, it's leaking everywhere. So I knew it would probably leak around the seams, so I need to put Vaseline inside for that. And then not only that, it's also leaking like on both uni-seals, even though I already siliconed all on the inside of both uni-seals. So I don't even know what to, what to take from that. So right now what it's looking like is that this is just a pointless thing. Like, I don't really need this for any reason. It's just the fact that I had already built it, because originally we had a plan for something and then the plan changed, so there's not really a whole lot I can do now with this. But the plan was that from the filter, the hose would go up to the bucket, which would sit right there, and you wouldn't really see it because it's black. And then from the bucket, the output would then go over to this, and then it would overflow into here. So like that would be the spillway, this would be the bucket, and then the pump would pump the water out. But I mean, I wouldn't have been able to get this open like ever, because I have to move this whole tube around it, so I'd have to get it out. It would be a whole mess. So basically what would be in here would be extra biological filtration, but the thing is that is going to be filled with biological filtration. Like the whole thing I'm just going to fill with lava rock, just all the way up, and then I'm going to grow plants out of the top. So that was already the plan with that. So then this would basically be pointless at that point, because it would just, I mean, it would be added filtration, it would help, but it would kind of just be an extra way to add leaks on accident. So what I'm thinking right now is that I'm just going to take this hose and I'll have it go straight into there, which makes a lot more sense, and then it'll just overflow from there. But since I did build this thing and I still want it to work kind of, because I might be able to use it for other things, I don't know, it's just leaking everywhere, and I need to put Vaseline in there, and then I don't think that this whole dealie would happen, but I want to fix like why it's leaking here. So I guess I don't know why this isn't draining. Here, wait. I think it needs, I think since it's a closed system, it isn't draining. It needs water to come in. So anyway, I'm gonna get this to drain itself, and then I guess I'm just gonna let it dry out, so then I can put more silicone on it because I don't know where else to do, and then I'll go from there. But right now the plan is to not use it, but we'll see if I can get it to work, then I'll use it. The issue, the reason that it's the issue here is that you wouldn't really have to worry about it leaking as much if there wasn't so much pressure inside. So this hose right here, the outlet, is smaller than this hose, which is not a good thing because that pump is pumping the water and then it's going into a smaller, it's more condensing. So then this whole tub is going to fill up and then there's going to be a lot of pressure inside. But even if this hose was the same size as that, or vice versa, if this hose was the same size as this hose, then just because of the power of the pump, I know that it would still create pressure and it would fill all the way up. So it would basically do the same thing, probably to a lesser extent, but that's the main reason why there's so much pressure in this, is because of that. So that's another issue, but the idea is this was a closed system, then it could handle that, because I know that pump can pump water through a hose this small. Like I'm positive of that, because that's what this is the same, I believe this is the same size hose as the one out back. So I know that it can handle doing that. It comes out really fast, but I know it can handle doing that. So I figured that it might be kind of all right for that. But I guess not now. So I'm gonna still try to use it, but really I'm planning not to, if that makes sense. So right now I'm waiting for that to dry, and then I can go from there, and then I can test it out and see if it's leaking anywhere. And that's why I didn't put anything else around it, because I kind of want to look under it. I don't know how much I trust it. Actually, I'm gonna let the silicone dry, and then I'm going to put flex tape around it, or seal tape or something, and then I can just be a little bit more sure of things a bit. So hopefully that works, we'll see. But for now I'm gonna let this dry, and that's pretty much it. Now that the liner had sit and dried overnight, before I could test it, I had to put on the seal tape or the flex tape. So I put that around the liner. I didn't have enough to completely put it around. And also flex tape doesn't seem to stick to silicone, so I actually had to silicone the flex tape as well. But once I had waited another day and let it dry, everything seemed to work very well when I finally tried it out, which was like super surprising to me. Like no leaks, and it was working super duper well. So I did not think I was capable of that, honestly. So I was very happy with that. And once I finished that up, I started to landscape a little bit with different wood and stuff that I had recently gathered from a local forest, stuff that had lots of moss on it, stuff that I thought would do well around the pond. And this wasn't like permanent or anything, it was just different pieces that I had found that I thought would go well with everything else. So hope that you guys enjoyed. I can tell you for a fact that I will not be using the bucket filter. I'm actually just gonna skip over that, and I'm using it for a different project. So there's that. In the next video, I will be working more on the spillway. It's not just going to be the black plasticky look there, so it will not just be pond liner, but it's actually going to be completely covered over, and it is completely covered over, but that is not for this video. So that will be in the next pond video, at least. I'm not exactly sure when that'll be coming out in relation to this video, as well as, like I said in the last pond video, that I need to do a lot of planting, which again is already done, but I don't know exactly when you guys will see that. So all very cool, and I hope that you guys are excited, because I'm certainly excited, because it is awesome. So in the next one, I'll be gathering rocks and placing those around, and also maybe planting plants, maybe not. I'm not sure exactly how that's happening. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments below, and if for more content, then subscribe. Sorry that this is taking a while, but I want to do these videos in segments. I think they deserve their own segments, and I want to start really taking time with my projects and making sure I do them correctly the first time, or at least the best that I very can the first time, because let's face it, you might have to do a project a couple more times once you figure out exactly how you want it and what you want to do with it, which is tending to how it is when I'm setting something up. I have to really perfect it. I think I've figured out what I want with like fish tanks, but not quite with terrariums yet. So that's something that I'm working on, and this is my very first pond, so we have no idea how it's going to turn out. So I hope that you have a fantastic day. See you in the next video.